This is a podcast, relatively new and I think a small following by this time while I'm reacting to it. It's called All the Women I've Been, I guess. Okay. So if you want to check her out, that is the podcast. So let's check it out. Hopefully it's good.
Hi, I'm Danielle Monet Truitt, and welcome back to another episode of All the Women I've Been. We are in season 3. Can you believe it? It's been a really, really fun ride. This has been such an awesome experience for me, starting this podcast. I started this podcast partly because I'm on a journey of self actualization. So, season 3, I'm back to doing some solo episodes. I really want to dive a little deeper into all the women I've been and really talk about some of those women. So today I'm going to share one of the women I've been, and this woman is the lover girl. When I say lover girl, I'm a Pisces and I am a romantic at heart. I am a soft girl at heart because of life circumstances and things that I've endured and gone through. I kind of created a hard exterior for myself, but that's not really who I am. And the older that I'm getting and the more that I'm healing myself, I'm getting back to that soft girl. But
So we'll react to what her thoughts are. This whole thing with women being, the lover girl, I find it interesting because you usually hear the women that are lover girls. They are usually dating the pookies. They're usually dating terrible men, and I think it's interesting that dating men that you may not see a future with, where these men are not necessarily the most romantic types of men or most loving types of men. So, excuse me. So, I find that weird. I mean, you know, and here's the thing where she's saying that she's a soft girl, you know, but she has a hard exterior, or she had to grow this, she had to develop a hard exterior, but she wants to get back to being a soft girl. It pretty much just telling me that you are a woman with trauma. You are a woman with trauma. And that is not the best type of woman to date. I get it. Life can happen, and you may experience things that will put walls around your heart, so makes you essentially someone that is more have a more tough exterior, but essentially that has turned you into someone that really isn't a soft girl, isn't a woman that's feminine, that's soft. You are more masculine, aggressive, hard, and attitude. So I always say that I don't think women that can who has crossed over to the world of being masculine, very aggressive or very combative, jaded, disagreeable, so on. They can't turn it on and off. They can't, be masculine one time and then feminine the next time. I honestly don't believe it's a switch. It's a fake, right? You're trying to fake it. You're trying to fake, oh, I'm trying to fake feminine. But if she gets angry, you will see the masculinity in her.
even with me trying to put on a hard exterior, love and relationships has always been something that's really, really important to me. Relationships with men, platonic relationships, relationships with my homegirls, relationships with my family. Like relationships mean a lot to me. It is really, really important for me to be able to connect with people, and I've noticed because of what I've gone through in my life, I've had trouble feeling like I'm really connected to people. I always kind of feel like I have to hide parts of myself, or I'm on the outside of certain circles and stuff like that. So I really been thinking.
Another showing how as women go, as women get older, trauma. They only gain trauma. And this is what I'm saying, where the whole lover girl thing, I honestly I want to go say it that here's a woman that holds herself back, can't give fully. So are you giving yourself in these relationships? Are you actually fully in these relationships? Because you have so many. I think that women have so many relationships. Does that really prove that she's a lover girl? That she's either been in so many relationships that are not successful. You haven't been with any of these men for the rest of your life. These are essentially temporary relationships. You've been in so many relationships. None of these relationships have worked. How much are you a lover girl when you constantly get in relationships that just don't work?
The lover girl in me and how it's played out in my life. So those of you that have been watching the podcast, you know that I was married for 12 years. And now I'm divorced. And after
I don't know this woman, so I'm going to say, excuse me. Everything I'm saying is pretty much assumptions. I'm going by assumptions. I'm going by a guess. Okay. By guess, 70% of divorces are filed by women. So I'm assuming she's the one who divorced her husband, broke up her marriage. A 12-year marriage, this lover girl broke it up. Assuming. I'm going on that assumption. So my argument, my viewpoint will be on that assumption, because I don't have time to go through this woman's catalog to, look for that information. So, but 70% of divorces are filed by women. So balance of probability, I am most likely correct. Most likely correct.
divorced, I got in another, kind of long relationship. But even before I got married, I always had a girlfriend. Like, I'm a girlfriend, sorry. I always was someone's girlfriend, I was always, when I would meet a guy and we would start talking, they wanted me to be their girlfriend. And then once I became their girlfriend, they're like, oh, I can see myself marrying you or whatever. And so I guess I have what they call, wife material or whatever.
I want to talk about this. The whole women that are wifey material. You essentially are not a wife. Now, you once were a wife, but you got divorced. Does that say that you are wifey material? Because I feel that women only see marriage. They don't see what it means to be a wife. They only look at marriage, the idea of marriage, the concept of marriage. They don't, what would I say? They don't quite understand the concept of being a wife. Here's a woman that most likely, balance of probability, divorced her husband. And now just being in a bunch of relationships. So essentially, you are such a wifey material that you are not a wife, you are divorcee, and no man has yet to marry you again. I don't know if that would, in my view, is like, I don't believe that is essentially wifey material, that no man wants to marry you, and the man that did marry you, it didn't work. Does that mean that you're wifey material? I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't think that that's wifey material. if you can't make it work. Patricia, what's up? In my opinion, they want the wedding to be dressed like a princess, having a party. Exactly. I agree. That's pretty much what I mean by the concept. Okay, the concept of marriage, or the beauty of a marriage, not what it means to be a wife.
So I always had a boyfriend. Like it was just a part of my, I don't know, just like a part of my journey.
And that it doesn't prove that you're a lover girl, nor does it prove that you're wifey material, because a woman that always have a man, it's not a compliment. Most women, majority of women can always have a man if she wants it. It's most of the time women don't. Women choose not to, settle or go for just any man. So to say that you always have a man, okay, great. But you always have a different man. None of these men married you, and the one man that did, it didn't work. So
I got to like high school and stuff like that. And then I married my high school sweetheart. And we were married for 12 years. And it didn't work out. And I won't get into that in this episode because that's not what this episode is about. But it didn't work out. And then probably about 10 months after we separated, I met someone else. And we became cool, whatever. And I guess maybe a year and a couple months after me and my ex-husband separated, we started dating. So, I went from a 12-year marriage into this, new relationship. And throughout my marriage, I think I was searching for connection. Like I wanted to feel emotionally connected to my husband, not just attracted to him,
That's right there, what she just said. Throughout the 12-year marriage, and that probably doesn't include the years of relationship, I wanted to feel connected. I wanted to, let's play it again. Let's play that shit again.
For connection. Like I wanted to feel, went from a 12-year marriage into this, new relationship. And throughout my marriage, I think I was searching for connection. Like I wanted to feel emotionally connected.
You got in a relationship with a man you don't have an emotional connection with. You accepted a proposal to a man that you don't have an emotional connection to. You were in a 12-year marriage, 12-year marriage with a man you didn't have an emotion connection to. You didn't leave the first year. You didn't leave the second year. You didn't leave the 5th year. You didn't leave the 10th year of that marriage. No, you left the 12th. You left after over a decade with a man because you didn't have an emotional connection. And this is why I said, listen to women does what? They're not logical. It doesn't, that really doesn't make sense. You married a man that you didn't love completely. You didn't love completely. I get it, right? You're in a relationship with a person that you didn't love completely. Okay. But you accepted a proposal. You stayed in a marriage for 12 years with a man that out of your mouth, you didn't love completely. That is what I'm talking about. Why do not listen to women. The insanity. You left a marriage, a 12-year marriage because you didn't find, you weren't connected to him emotionally? What the hell were you doing 12 years? Why did you even get married? Why did you even continue the relationship, accept the proposal, and stayed with him 12 goddamn years? You broke up the highest, one of the highest level of commitment you can have with a person, marriage, because you didn't have an emotional connection with the man you chose to get in a relationship with, accept a proposal to, and stayed married to for 12 years. Absolute insanity. And this is what women would listen to? The absolute delusion, absolute craziness. And this is what I'm saying. Don't listen to women if you want to be in a relationship. Don't. It's absolutely, where's the wisdom in that? Where? I don't see that. Where's the logic in that? It's absolutely pure emotion based. You most likely broke this man's heart because you weren't emotionally connected to him. How come during that 12 years you didn't build that emotional connection? 12 years. And you have the audacity to say, I wasn't emotionally connected to the man that I married.
To my husband, not just attracted to him, physically, but to feel like we had a strong emotional connection, and I was lacking.
Strong. What? That's the ambiguity, right? Ambiguity or ambiguity that women love to put out. They say vibes, they say chemistry, they say spark, which is so ambiguous, so nothing concrete, nothing tangible. A strong, what does that mean? So you had an emotional connection with him, but it wasn't strong enough for you? That is the insane. This is why most likely this woman is not young. Most likely this woman is late 30s, maybe early 40s. Maybe even like she's in her later years. Still single, not married. Because of this insanity. I wasn't connected to him emotionally enough, strong enough. This is the problem with a lot of women. It's never good enough. This is why, in my personal opinion, 70% of divorces happen. That's 70% of divorces filed by women. This is why it's happening. Nothing is enough. I don't love him enough. I'm not connected to him emotionally enough. I'm not happy enough. I'm not wealthy enough. Just nothing. Nothing is enough.
And so, not being married anymore, I was really looking for that, And so, the next guy that I met, I felt like I had that kind of relationship with him. What I realized later was that he love bombed me. And because I was married for so long and going through a very traumatic transition, it was easy for me to latch on to this new relationship, And so being a lover girl, I think that's one of the negatives to being a lover girl. If you're going through a traumatic time in your life and you already have the propensity to want to be connected and to be in relationship, sometimes you can kind of jump the gun and you can get into a relationship that is really premature, and you can latch on to someone out of the need to feel supported, instead of looking for that in the other relationships that have stood the test of time, instead of looking for that in your family, instead of looking for that.
Patricia, thank you so much. Thank you. Can't stay on tonight. My boyfriend is here, but wanted to say I appreciate the work you're doing, exposing some women and educating men to have a fun time with your boyfriend. He's a lucky man. Having a logical woman, having a smart ass woman, he's a lucky man. Tell him that. Tell him I said he's a lucky man. Hope you have a good night, Patricia.
Or finding that in your friendships that, you've been friends with these people for years and they can offer a lot of the support and stability that you need in times when your life feels shaky,
So The next man she got with, she felt a strong emotional bond. Guess how she felt that? He love bombed her, i.e., showed a extreme amount of affection to her. It's like, are you stupid? How do you think that you would feel a strong emotional bond with somebody if they don't show you a huge amount of affection? But because he showed you a huge amount of affection, and most likely, whatever, you saw other red flags and you don't like him, you deem it as love bombing, i.e., you're downplaying or negating his level of affection towards you. It's like you get what you want. Turns out it's not what you want. Just like the thing where men listen to women's boundaries, follow women's boundaries, and then women complain that men follow women's boundaries. Women said men that approach them are creeps. Men stop approaching women. Women are wondering why men stop approaching. It's very logical. Women are so logical. Women are so dog. It sounds like one of the things that most men know. Women don't know what they want. And one of the, I believe, clear sign of lack of being logical is you have no clear direction. There's no clear direction. You don't know what you want.
When you're not able to just show up 100% strong, or, be able to function the way you normally would, but I think sometimes when you are a serial monogamist, you kind of, you want the romantic side of it, I think in
serial monogamous. Now, I understand that. I will say this: monogamy, the goal is to find one person and be with that one person the rest of your life. That's my opinion. That's what I view it as. It's never a flattering thing to be a serial monogamous, in my personal opinion. Now, being monogamous is, I support that. I'm not necessarily the type of man that wants to have, that has, cheat and just have a bunch of flings and all that shit. But at the end of the day, you got to think that the goal is to find that one person and be with that one person the rest of your life, i.e., monogamy. To constantly just be in long-term relationships and none of them ever work. That's a case where you need to do some soul searching, some self-reflecting. Very important to gain accountability, to understand your flaws, what's going on in your life, why things are happening.
That second relationship, it made me forget about the hurt that I was feeling from a marriage not working out. I got married and I never thought I would get divorced. I thought my parents have been married for 43 years. They've been through everything you can think of and more, and they're still together. And some people might see that as a great thing. Other people might not see that as a great thing. It depends on what lens you're looking at it through and what angle you have and how much you know about the relationship. But I never saw myself being divorced. It was not.
I honestly think that modern day women shouldn't be surprised that they would be divorced. They are not like their parents. They're not like their grandparents, and so on and so on. A lot of women cannot stick it out with men. They cannot stick it out with men. They cannot, actually follow the vows, right? To good times and bad times, sickness and health, through all the vows, right? The vows tells you pretty much got to stick with this person pretty much in almost any circumstances. In my personal view, I only believe two circumstances, and one could be a maybe sometimes, particularly, if it's whatever. I don't need to go that way. But it's either infidelity or abuse. That is pretty much it. If your partner isn't abusing you, isn't cheating on you, and sometimes in some cases maybe constantly cheating on you, I really think that divorce is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Because you got to think about this. You've been in a relationship with this person for years. You accepted a proposal, and you were in this marriage with a person for years. So you had this long, stretch of time, and you had all these moments where if you didn't have strong emotional bonds with the person, if you weren't attracted to the person, if you didn't like certain things about that person, you had plenty of opportunities to leave. You didn't. 12 years, right? 12 years plus, I bet you. And you never left. Only now, after 12 years, did you leave. And this is the mentality of women. Women, if they are unhappy and they believe that you are part of that unhappiness, then they will leave you. This is why I find it ridiculous that a lot of women want to go back to olden days or traditional, because honestly, they're not. A lot of women are essentially very selfish. They think about themselves.
The ending that I expected, but because there was no emotional connection for me, I made certain decisions that helped lead us there,
And yet you married him and stayed with him for 12 years, yet there wasn't an emotional connection. Women's insanity knows no bounds.
So in this next relationship that I was in, it was kind of like I just allowed myself to just do whatever I wanted and go with the flow. And I don't regret it. I really don't. I don't regret it. Like, I had fun. I had fun in that relationship in a lot of ways that I couldn't have fun when I was married. I experienced certain things in that relationship that I hadn't experienced, hadn't allowed myself to do, or felt like I would be judged if I did do it, And so I think the reason why I don't feel bad about being a serial monogamist, I don't feel bad about being a lover girl, because I always learn from these. I always learn from these situations that I put.
Do you? Do women actually learn? Do women? When it comes to relationships, when it comes to men and women dynamic, do women actually learn? Do women actually learn? Because I wonder about that. It's a question. To what do you guys think, right? Do women actually learn? Because in my view, they don't. Women do not gain wisdom with age. Because what have you learned? Supposedly serial monogamous, but no relationship. No relationship that stands the test of time. What have you learned? What have you learned? You're literally not in a relationship, or you can't sustain a relationship for the rest of your life. So what have you learned? You learn to bounce to one guy, to the next guy, to the next guy, because of your selfish gratification. So what have you learned? Selfishness. That is it. What can he do for me? What can I get out of this relationship, this interaction with this man? That is it. You haven't learned to, better any relationship. You haven't. Because if you have learned, right? If women have actually learned from their faults, from why a relationship didn't work, I believe after 2, maybe 3 relationships, the next one you should be married for the rest of your life. But it didn't happen. It doesn't happen. women. I've done Kendra G reactions. We have 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, like old ass women. None of these women are virgins. They are still in the dating market. So really, what have you learned? What have you learned from all these, relationships you've been in?
Myself in. Some of them are great situations. Other situations are like, dang, I probably could have chose a different path. But at the end of the day, I'm always learning and I'm always growing. I didn't know what being love bombed was until I was love bombed. I had no idea what that was. I had no idea that, what was presented to me in the beginning wasn't necessarily what it was going to be in the long run, But
I want to say that. I want to say this. I'm going to hold men accountable for this. Where I've said this before in other videos. Men need to stop this. But I'm going to preface this. I don't think this is good men doing this or consciously doing this. I know the bad boys, the Pookies are probably consciously doing this. They know what they're doing. But I'm going to say this to good men who probably don't see it. Control yourself. I've made it a rule for me where I will not spoil or, let's say, overly spoil any woman I'm with, because I've come to realize that, and I've fallen in this trap that men always fall in. We want to, if we're dating someone, right, getting to know someone, we want to court them. We want to give them a world. We want to wine and dine them. We want to give them romantic experiences. We want to be romantic to them, make them feel loved, make them feel wanted, just really lay it on thick because we want them to be with us. But I come to realize that amount of effort is a lot of fucking effort. So what I say is that why I don't overly spoil any woman I'm with. If I cannot sustain that throughout the relationship, throughout the time I'm with this particular woman, then it is my fault. It is my fault because I gave her a view, a life that she thinks that she can have. So if I'm dating this woman, I'm buying her Gucci, LV or, whatever every week. I'm buying her a new purse every week. I'm wining and dining her at 5-star restaurants every week for a year. I'm doing that for a year. I'm spending, $5-10 grand every month on her. And then after a year, boy, we're in a relationship, right? We're in a relationship. We are now boyfriend or girlfriend, and we're deep in a relationship. And I'm like, maybe every 6 months I'm buying her a purse. Maybe every 3 months I'm taking her out to a restaurant because I couldn't sustain that, right? I can't continue to spend, 10 grand every month for years on end. No, that's unrealistic. This is what I'm saying. My pockets are not infinite. I'm no millionaire. I'm no billionaire. And that's why I come to realize that it is a dangerous path that we walked on, particularly for good men, and we don't realize. If you can't sustain certain amount of effort, don't do it. Maintain a consistent effort. Do an effort that you can manage. Do an effort that you can sustain. I do not over spoil any woman I'm with, because now I'm setting a precedent as in, she's going to get this if she's in a relationship with me. If I'm giving her the world at the beginning of the relationship, I better continue to give the world to her 1, 2, 3, 5 years out, down the road as well. And most men, we can't. That's why I have a theory that a lot of men put so much effort at the beginning of a relationship, at the beginning of the dating process, that once we get married to her, once we're in a long-term, like 3-5 year relationship with her already, or married to her, we start taking it back because we're tired. We spent so much money to spoil her, to get her, and now we're tired. Now we can't sustain that amount of effort anymore. And then women complain, oh, what happened to this? He changed up. No, he didn't. Men didn't change up. They're tired. Men cannot sustain that amount of like wooing, right? They can't sustain that amount of spoiling for this such a long period of time. That is like a man that's running a 100-mile marathon to realize that, oh wow, you know what? I can't run a 1,000-mile marathon at the same speed I ran a 1 mile race. I can't do that. So this is my advice to good men. Have a more stable amount of effort. So like I said, me personally, yo, Ivan, what's up, my brother? My advice and my personal advice, this is what I take. I do not over spoil any woman, because that right there, I don't want her to tell me, oh, you switched up, you lie, all that shit. No, I didn't lie. I didn't switch up. I'm just not saying that. I just want to give you the excuse that I'm tired. No. The amount of effort I show you, right, then I'm going to show you the same amount of effort later as well. So that is my view. I believe a lot of men do this. So this is me holding men accountable, but I believe a lot of men don't realize we're doing this, because we think in our mind, oh, we're trying to spoil her. We're trying to wine and dine her. We're trying to romanticize her so she can get with us. And once we lock her down, now what? She's going to expect that. She's going to expect that, during the dating process, you were whining and dining her. You are giving her LV all the time. Well, she's going to expect that in the relationship as well. And we don't realize, wow, this girl is too much. No. We made her too much. We made her into a spoiled princess. So guess what? That spoiled princess didn't disappear, right? She's now a spoiled princess. But now we have the commitment that we have to continue spoiling her. So, that's my thoughts.
Had to go through that. My sisters tease me. They're like, you couldn't stay single for 1 second. Like, they're like, you're finally single after 12 years. We supposed to be out here doing hood rat things, and here you are, settling down or whatever. But I genuinely feel, and after what happened with the second guy, if you watched a couple of the episodes last season, I talked about how, I got cheated on or whatever, and I had cheated before. So, it was kind of like karma. I felt like it was karma, and it gave me an opportunity to look at myself and look at what I had done. Not that I hadn't before, but until it happens to you, you don't know how much you've hurt someone until it happens to you. And then you're like, oh, shit. Like, this is not cute. Okay, this is not cute. And so when that happened, I was like,
the more and more this woman talks, you get the selfish persona from her. You understand more and more this woman is selfish. She cares only about herself. I believe 100% she only cares about herself.
You know what? This is good. This is a wake-up call for me. It's a wake-up call for me. I was married for 12 years. I need to get out into the world and sow my royal oats. Okay, like, I need to date. I need to see what I like. And I think when you're married.
So essentially, instead of giving your body to one man you love, giving your body to the one man you love, you want to sow your oats, right? Sow your oats. Go leave your marriage and now ride the D carousel. Just start, slinging that thing. Start, just like, gobbling it all up. Right? Great. And you know what? And this is kind of funny. So this is the woman that you are becoming. What good man wants this? What good man? Again, this is where I say, where's the wisdom? Where's the logic? The more you're doing, the worse you're becoming for an actual good man, for an actual man of value, for a man that actually would want you, would value you. No, the more you're doing, the less value you become. The more bodies you gain, the more trauma you gain, the more, I don't know, shitty mindset you develop. And this is why I said, as women age, they become bigger red flags. They become worse to be with. The trauma, the expectations, the the body count. It's like, I swear, it's like, what's the point? What's the value? What are men getting? What are men getting? Because you got to imagine this. Imagine this. You are the last man on this train. Her husband was the engine, was the first cart, I guess, the first caboose, first train cart. Now you are the last. Does that sound great? Being the last to get with this after she ride the whole train all the way down to you? That doesn't sound that great.
For so long, you start to go out to the dating world, and you've been married for so long, you're doing the things that a married person, you're interacting the way a married person would act, because that's what you're used to, so I had to learn what it was to date again. Like, what do I like? What do I value? Who do I want to spend my time with? And it is very interesting, the type of guys that I was meeting, the similarities that some of them had to my ex-husband, or some of them had to my ex-boyfriend, and how I was able to like recognize those things, quicker. I also got an opportunity. There was one guy that I dated who was so nice, so cute, took me on the best date, so fun. Like, we had fun every single day. We had fun, but I did not feel emotionally connected to him. Like, I didn't feel, and it wasn't even that I wasn't attracted to him, because he was an attractive guy, but there was just something lacking, and I was able to recognize it quickly. I was able to recognize it quickly, and instead of being like, oh, but he's so nice, he's such a nice guy, he treats me so nice, he has money, I don't have to worry about anything with him. This is what we do as women. We talk ourselves in to situations that we genuinely don't want to be in, because there's almost like a guilt that you feel when someone's nice to you and treats you great, but you don't feel connected to them in a romantic way. Like, as a friend, we could be friends all day, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I had to.
I find women funny. I really do. I find women funny. So he's good enough to be a friend to you. You're attracted to him, like you said. You said you're attracted to him. He treats you well, but you don't want him. I find women funny. I really do. Because what the fuck do you want? What do you want? This is why I have no sympathy for women when it comes to dating. Women that say, where are the good men at? Bitch, are you crazy? When women say, you know what, there's no good men left, or I'm only getting with the why am I only getting with terrible men? Are you crazy? Here's a woman that's saying that, oh, this man is good enough to be a friend, where you know each other, you like being around each other. He is treating you well. You think he's attractive. Yet you have no emotionally connection to him. You don't feel the spark. This is why, in my personal opinion, women gravitate to the Pookies. Women gravitate to the players, to the bad boys, to the Chads, to the Tyrones, to the men that don't give a shit about you. The men that will manipulate you, the men that will use you. Why? Why do women gravitate to those men? Because these said men will give you the spark, will give you the butterflies, will give you the dopamine effect with highs and lows of emotions. These men, okay, the Pookies, they will make women feel. It's like women will be. This is the danger with a lot of women. It's the boredom. Okay, women. The boredom is pretty much a lack of spark in a woman's eyes. The Pookies keep women on their toes. The bad boys keep women guessing. So why do these men constantly always have a rotation of women, constantly always in a relationship, constantly easily getting women? These men know how to light the fire in women's heart or belly, whatever. This is why, again, she's talking about something so like intangible. Like I don't have an emotional connection to him. Are you crazy? You think he has you view him as a friend. He treats you well, and you say you're attracted to him. I swear, like women don't know what they want. But this is why the Pookies step in and they know what women want. To be emotionally manipulated.
I had to tell him, that that's how I felt, because I wanted to be honest, and I felt like, he kind of wanted to push things along, and it just wasn't fair to him, and so that was an interesting, it was an interesting situation. I had another situation where I dated a guy who, because of what I did for a living, because I had 2 kids, bi-coastal, just juggling and navigating so many things, he felt like I was too much. And not in a bad way, but it was kind of like he felt obligated to be something for me that I wasn't even asking him to be. Like I just wanted to have fun and hang out. But he felt like, ooh, like this, she has so much going on. She's going to expect a lot from me. And I was like, cool, we can just be friends. Like, that's totally fine. And when I mean friends, I mean just like, I'll talk to you on Instagram sometimes. That's what I mean by friends. Like, I don't mean like friends with benefits. Like, nah. But that was a learning experience for me, There was another guy that I dated briefly, went on a couple dates, and he was funny and cool. And I noticed that whenever we went out, we would just be drinking, like, I mean, in New York, that's like the thing. Like, you go to dinner, you have some drinks, like that's like a normal date, And so I said, you know what? Let me go on a date with him and not drink. Let me just go on a date or a couple dates with him completely sober, no drinking, nothing making me laugh more, or because with me, when I drink, I'm friendly. Like, I get real friendly. And I'm laughing more than I normally would, and I'm talking louder, and I'm a little more touchy-feely, and I'm just like, just free, And so I said, let me not drink. So I went on these dates, a couple dates with him, and I didn't drink. And it wasn't a match. So for all the other, for the lover boys and the lover girls of the world out there, just know, first of all, don't feel bad. I think, when we look on social media,
stop going on dates that you weren't already interested in. This is a thing where I hate how online dating has turned out to be. I hate how online dating has turned out to be. Personal opinion, how I viewed, and I'm pretty old, right? I was there before online dating was even ever a thing. How I viewed online dating and why I liked online dating, because it gave you the time where you can see the person's bio. Okay, anything you find red flags or green flags, whatever. You can message the person, right? Text them, sometimes even call them to see if there's an actual spark. In my opinion, where, oh my god, they said this, I like that. They have that hobby. Oh, I like that. How they talk. I like how they talk. I like what they talk. They say how about their personality. They say about their hobbies, their families, things like this. You're getting to know the person. So there's already, in my opinion, that's a spark. In my opinion, where, wow, I like this about them. I like that. I like that about them. So I already like them. In with online dating, you already like them because there's nothing that, or there's already you already built something. There's already a foundation, in my opinion. Then you meet up, first date, just to confirm, wow, you know what, I was right, I did like this person. I'm really interested in this person. First date, this is kind of my mindset, like maybe a rule or something, how I do it. Wow, first date, it confirms that I really do like this person. Second date, I see a future with this person. I want to, in my opinion, is getting closer. I would, in my opinion, I would sleep with this person, right? I see a future with person. Third date, if it pans out, we are there. We are pretty much like next date. I think we might as well say boyfriend and girlfriend. We waste too much time. I think a lot of women truly do not date with purpose. They waste time. If you've been on multiple dates with a person, you should have already you should already like the person, in my opinion. If you've gone past the fourth date and you really did not like the person, you were just using them. You were just using them.
And there's all these memes, and everybody's giving their opinion about what people should do and not do, and you need to spend time alone, and you need to heal before you get with blah blah blah. Everybody has their take on what you should be doing, but the only person that knows what you should be doing is you. You know deep down, like if you keep getting in relationships because you're afraid to be alone. You know that. And the realer you get with yourself, and the more truthful you become with yourself, you'll start to understand who you are, what you like, why you do what you do, And so if that's the reason, if you're afraid to be alone, if you have attachment style issues and things like that, that's causing you to jump into these relationships, and then after the honeymoon phase, or things start to kind of dissipate a little, fizzle out a little, you're like bored and frustrated and like then there might be something for you to look at, to spend some time alone, to heal some things, to be comfortable being by yourself. But me personally, I love being by myself. I like being here in New York working when I'm away from.
I love a girl, i.e., someone that loves to give affection, romance, all that stuff, loves to be by themselves. I kind of find that that's very counterintuitive, in my opinion. How you love a girl, yet you love being by yourself. This is why I believe a lot of women are fakes. They are fakes. And this is why essentially I said listening to women is idiotic. They are fake. They don't even know what they want. No, there's no clear direction when it comes to women. So really, why are you listening to these women? They are fakes. They are liars. They don't even know what they want.
My kids, I spend a lot of time alone. I go to work, I come home, and I'm by myself, and I enjoy it. I enjoy my time alone. But I also enjoy companionship. I also enjoy having someone to talk to, having someone to dream with, having someone to bounce things off of, having some.
Now, how I go about this, right? I would say this: I'm content. I'm content being by myself. I'm not saying I enjoy it because it's not that enjoyable, but I'm fine with it. I'm not unhappy about it. I'm more content. I personally prefer being in a relationship. But because this is the thing where I find it amazing with women. So many women say, I'm happily single. Okay. Yet they're actively dating. So if you're so happily single, why do you want to change it? I can never understand that logic. I mean, maybe explain it to me. Maybe you guys can explain it to me. Because I see this. If you are happily single, right? Why would you want to change that status quo? Why do you want to change that happiness? I don't understand. You're already happy. You are already happy. Why change that? That's my opinion. I say that I'm content with being single. It's just, I would love to be in a relationship. I would be, in my opinion, I would be happier in a relationship with someone I love, but it's not happening. So I'm just content.
To laugh with, to care about, to think about, to check in with. Like, I do really enjoy that with the right person, so be easy on yourself. Us lover girls, lover boys, we carry our hearts on our sleeves. Some of us are, completely vulnerable and show that, out loud. Others of us kind of keep everything close to the chest because we're afraid we're going to be hurt. But no matter what, just give yourself the space to figure out who you are and what you want and what works for you, So for me, I'm happy for the exchanges that I've had and the relationships that I've had. And I really do like being in relationships. And I used to feel bad about that. I used to feel like, ooh, something was wrong with me, But I'm looking for a very specific type of love. I'm looking for a specific type of, person to spend my life with that I feel is aligns with me. And I'm not in this season of my life as a lover girl. I'm not.
Essentially, you're looking for perfection. You're looking for perfection. Women never fail. Women never fail to prove men's point. Women never fail to prove men's point. Here's a woman in her later years looking for perfection, wasting years to look for the perfect man. And this is the insanity of women. It's like you can't accept or can't realize that. Now, I'm not saying that a perfect man couldn't be out there. I honestly believe for my sister, particularly my one sister, she has found the perfect man for her. Her husband, I've always said to her that her husband is her soulmate. Literally. He is what completes her. When you look at her relationship with her husband, the whole dynamic, he is perfect for her. So, and which is crazy because if I didn't know, if she never found this man, I would never believe that there's any such thing as a perfect partner for you, as a soulmate, shit like that. But what at least I come to realize is that maybe he is out there. Maybe he's out there. But again, we are humans. We don't have an infinite life. We don't have an infinite lifespan. The chance of us finding the perfect, absolutely perfect person for us is you might be trying to hit the lottery. Because if you can hit the lottery, fine. You probably can find your perfect soulmate. Right? You can probably find your soulmate, but the odds aren't in your favor. So I always think that men are more logical, where they don't find don't try to look for a woman that's perfect. They try to look for a woman that at least has 60, 70% of what they want. And they're golden. Men are golden. Men would be happy, okay? Absolutely ecstatic. The rest of his life, he's content. If he can find a woman that has at least 70% of what he wants, he's golden. I don't think he's going to cheat. I don't think he's going to do anything bad. He will love his wife. He will love his family, love his life. If he can find a woman that's at least 70%. Hell, if he can find a woman that's 80%, man, he's living in heaven. His life is amazing. Women want the 100% man. And that's the insanity.
Not going to settle for something that's just not God's best, you know?
God's best. The audacity to say God's best. And I'm not a Bible thumper, but I know some quotes, and aren't we all made in the image of God? You want God's best. You are so entitled that you want God's best. Stay single. Just stay single. Please, just get out of the dating market.
I'm not gonna get in a relationship because I feel I need to, or because I feel like, this person's nice, or this person can take care of me, or whatever. I don't need that, you know? I can take care of myself. I need someone who wants to partner with me. I need someone who wants to elevate me and I elevate them. I need someone that I am emotionally connected to. And that is what's important to me. So I think if you think about what's important to you, you'll know whether you need to take a pause from being in a, committed relationship and just spend some time alone to heal, or if you're ready, to do that. I know I've learned so much by giving myself the opportunity to open my heart to different relationships and different people. They really taught me a lot about who I am when it comes to love. So I hope you do the same, that you can.
This is why I said we have a crazy epidemic of women want to be coaches, dating coaches, life coaches, manifestation coaches, relationship coach, marriage coach, whatever fucking coach ever out there. Women are not qualified in general. Women are not qualified in general to guide other people. Women are not. In general. I'm not saying that they're all women, no, but I don't think there's many. I really don't. So this is the insanity. This is the insanity that men are dealing with. And this is what I'm proof that women are just stop listening to women. Stop. And I feel like it's a sad thing, particularly Black women have no good role models. Women are not helping out other women. They're not educating other women. They're not imparting wisdom to other women. They are the example of misery loves company. Misery loves company, because no man is going to advise any other man. It's like, wait for the perfect woman for you. Wait for the perfect woman for you. Do not settle. Don't settle. And to boil it down to any woman that's 60% of what you want, 70% of what you want, 80% of what you want is you settling. You're settling for someone. You're settling for someone that loves you, respects you, is your partner, right? Wants to be there for you. That's settling. because you're not emotionally connected to the person. That's settling. If the person's not perfect for you, you're settling. Yeah. Stop listening to women. Stop.